A static class is a container for self-contained static functions that just operate on the input parameters. The concept of a static class and static members is essentially the same as in other object-oriented languages like C++ and Java. Static classes provide simplicity, but they are not a part of the pure object-oriented design. The general guidelines are to use static classes only sparingly in your projects, whenever it is absolutely necessary. In this tutorial, we learn about the features of a static class in C#. So let's first of all get introduced to the syntax of a static class. It contains only static data members, static functions, static properties, or static events. It contains everything static. Once a class is marked static, then it contains everything static. Secondly, compiler adds a private instance constructor. This means that new operator cannot be used to create objects of a static class. And a static class is a sealed class. Inheritance is not possible. The .NET runtime ensures that the static class is loaded. It ensures that a static class is loaded and its constructors are called and all its static data members be initialized before a program accesses it the first time. So we can say that a static class is fully available whenever you are accessing it for the first time in your project. The static constructor of a static class is called only once. This means that it is called only the first time when you access it. When you access the static class the second time or the third time, the static constructor will not run. And here's an example of a static class. The class has been marked with the static keyword. It contains a static function that returns a string. An object of a static class cannot be created. Inside main, the static function of the class has been called by using the name of the class. We cannot create an object of a static class, but whenever you want to call static members, then you must use the name of the class. And let's see a few benefits of a static class. A static class is a convenient container of static functions that are standalone, that operate only on their arguments, that do not need to touch any instance members. For example, the system.io.file is a static class of the .NET framework. It contains a set of utility functions for file-related operations. Another example of a static class is the system.math class that contains functions for math operations on their arguments. And static classes are now increasingly being used to hold extension methods. We'll talk of extension methods later, but at this point all I can say is that static classes are used to hold extension methods also. The constructor of a static class is called once and it stays in memory till the lifetime of the containing app domain. This feature may be useful for some designs. So developers often mark a class as static to ensure that they do not accidentally add instance members. So this is the practical use of the static keyword placed before a class. It helps developers so that they do not accidentally add any instance members. So one of the reasons is that if any instance members are accidentally added, then the constructor will begin to be called again and again, and possibly there will be a use of the new keyword also. So we can say that a static keyword is just a safety guard. It is available when you need it, and whenever you have all things static inside a static class, you should put a static before the name of the class. And there is a very marginal speed benefit to a static method. The speed benefit is insignificant, so it is hardly considered a plus point. And let's have a look at a few of the problems of a static class. Static classes are difficult to test. Static classes do not represent a pure object-oriented design. And experts recommend that static classes should be added to your projects only if absolutely and really necessary. And let's have a look at the various members that are possible in a static class. As already stated, a static class can contain members of static type only. And let's write a typical static class. A static class is marked with the static keyword and it can contain static data members. A static constructor is always public and used to initialize other static members of this class.